What's up, guys? I want to do a little video this evening talking about something that I've seen on the news. I was reading it on the Sun website, the Sun News website earlier, and it kind of made me laugh a little bit. So, yesterday, a primary school in Derbyshire had to be evacuated because a young boy, a young student, or a pupil at the school brought in a grenade for the school of the show and tell assembly. Like, I mean, it is hilarious. I mean, obviously you would never expect to hear about things like that. I mean, the teachers probably thought, oh, it's going to be another normal day. Not quite the normal day they probably thought it was going to be. They probably didn't think for one single second that a kid was going to come into school with a flipping grenade for the school show and tell, for the show and tell assembly. I mean, most kids, when you have show and tell, obviously, like that, the show and tell assemblies or whatever, tend to bring in relatively normal things. But this kid decided to make the day a little bit more exciting, and he decided to bring in a grenade, which caused the whole school to have to be evacuated. His family didn't even know he'd taken it into school with him. Like, that's the thing that makes me laugh about this, is that his family didn't even know that he'd taken a grenade into school with him. Like, that's actually hilarious. Obviously, he did a silly thing, but I mean, we're talking a primary school here. He probably didn't realise. I mean, I think they said in the article that he was interested in grenade. Obviously, he learned about VE Day and everything. Um, he probably didn't realise that grenades were so dangerous. I imagine the other kids were probably shitting themselves a little bit though, as the teachers were probably shitting themselves as well. This kid's just coming to school and he's brought a flipping grenade in with him. I don't think it was a live grenade, but obviously they had to evacuate the whole school, obviously for safety reasons. Obviously, I think they later confirmed that the grenade was safe, but it's still quite hilarious. It's still somewhat hilarious. I mean, you never expect to hear about things like that. You don't hear about things like that every day. A school kid, and a primary school kid as well, not even a secondary school kid. A primary school kid went into school and he took a flipping grenade into school with him for show and tell. Like, hell no. That's hilarious. You probably just wanted to make the day a little bit more exciting. You probably wanted to make the school day a little bit more interesting. And he certainly did that. I don't think that's a school day the teachers will forget in a hurry. Having to evacuate the whole school because a kid brought a flipping grenade into school. I don't think they're going to forget that in a hurry. I mean, I'm glad none of the kids in my class ever did that when we had show and tell. I'm glad they never brought in crazy things like that. You know, I mean, the kids in my class, I mean, as I said, most kids do bring in relatively normal things for show and tell. They don't really bring in things that are too crazy, but it's just mad. Like he brought a grenade in for show and tell, and his family didn't even know he took it with him. This is the thing. Like, this is the most hilarious thing about it, is that his family didn't even know he took it in with him. Like, that must have been a bit of a shock for his parents when they got the shock for their parents when they got the phone call from the school saying we've had to evacuate the school because if your child has brought in a flipping grenade, that is seriously crazy. When I read that article on some website, on some news website earlier, it actually made me laugh. You know, there's not many things that make me laugh, but that was one of those things that genuinely made me piss myself laugh. You never hear about things like this. It's one of the most bizarre things I've ever read. Is a primary school having to be evacuated because a kid brought a grenade into school. I guess he's learned that. Well, I guess he knows not to do that again. But I mean, yeah, that's crazy, don't it? Really, when you think about it, a kid bringing a grenade into school. Like, how often do you hear about stories like that in the news? Anyway, it's like, I mean, it's probably quite fun for the kids, so, you know, I mean, it probably scared them a little bit, you know, the fact they had to, you know, literally evacuate the whole school, you know. The teachers, probably, it was probably a bit of an nasty shot for the teachers as well. You know, most of his bringing in the show and tell. This is his eyes are flipping whip out grenade. Oh, look what I brought in for show and tell. It's a flipping grenade. And then they had to evacuate the whole school. I mean, they probably didn't expect that. Oh, the teachers probably when he pulled it out, when he probably pulled it out, you know, whatever it was they had it in. The teachers probably looked at that and went, holy fucking shit, it's a grenade. Hmm. If that's what they probably thought. They probably thought, oh, holy, they probably thought, oh shit. That's what they probably thought. They probably looked at it. As soon as he put it out, the teacher was probably thinking, oh fuck, is it a grenade? You know, they probably shit themselves when they see it. They're like, oh fuck, he's brought a grenade. You know, it must have been hilarious. It must have been pretty crazy for them because obviously, you know, you know, it's like they obviously wouldn't have been expecting that, but you know, he's like, how can you not laugh at this? You know, he'd in fact was in a whole school to be evacuated because they brought a grenade in. Like, it's just hilarious, absolutely flipping hilarious. You know, and imagine that his parents probably weren't too happy about that. You know, knowing that he took that grenade in with him. Apparently it was a family heirloom or something. And he took that into school, and obviously they would have had to destroy it. I don't know if they actually destroyed it or not, but you know, I mean, the least thing you would expect is that, you know, that's the last thing you would expect. You know, is that he'd to take a flipping hand grenade into school with him, into school with them. You know, crazy, 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 absolutely crazy. And as I said, it was a primary school kid. It wasn't even a secondary school kid. It was a primary school kid. I mean, most hits is, you know, most hits, as I said, really normal things for show and tell. That hit, nope. That he decided to make things more entertaining, like by bringing a flipping grenade into school and causing the whole damn school to be evacuated. You know, it's actually hilarious. Like that, you know, it doesn't get any more hilarious than that. To be honest, you know, there are some things I've read in it that just made me laugh, and that really did. Because you never expect to hear about things like that, a whole school being evacuated, that he brought a flipping grenade in. Like, that's the least you would expect to hear. But I mean, no disrespect to the teachers, but surely did. I mean, did they not know he had a grenade in his pocket? I mean, obviously they didn't, but you know, I guess they've learned now to be. You know, they do not have. And I guess the boy probably knows now how dangerous grenades are. I mean, this is the thing. You don't fuck about with grenades. You know, he's probably learned that lesson. You probably don't fuck about with grenades. Um, He probably knows now not to do something like that again. Obviously, his parents have probably warned him about how dangerous they are. Well, we've warned them about how dangerous they are, so they probably know not to do it again. But, you know, I mean, it's just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Um, there's not really much I can say about this, to be honest, other than, wow. Like, I mean, that kind of deserves a lot of respect, though. That hit kind of deserves a lot of respect, though, for causing his whole school to be evacuated. And he's only a primary school kid. You know, they're a primary school kid, and they've caused the whole school to be evacuated. Like massive respect to them for that. You know, I mean, that deserves respect. You know, him bringing a grenade into school. You don't know about that every day, but it's still, you know, it's hilarious all the same. I'm glad. I mean, obviously, I'm glad no one was hurt, but you know, that goes without saying. I'm glad no one was hurt. But there you go. Just what I would do a little short video on that this afternoon, this evening. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you for another one later on. Bye bye.